For the recording, I'll introduce myself one more time. Catherine Borgeson, WSMA grant specialist. This session is geared specifically as a grant portal walkthrough. It's not intended to go into the program guidelines and eligibility application questions, like the meat of the questions itself. For that, please reach out to me at Catherine at wamicrobiz.org and our executive director, Lisa Smith. It's Lisa at wamicrobiz.org. So this is just to demo and walk through to navigate the grant portal. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to start with our website, wamicrobiz.org. And just need to make it so I can see this a little bit more clear. So navigating to our portal, it's in a lot of different places. On our homepage, you can see in the upper corner our grants portal login page. I'm also going to show you some different places. This burnt orange stick figure icon it's our accessibility menu for our website. You can translate the content in different languages. There's the English is currently selected. If you're visually impaired, want the screenwriter or adjust, all of the options are here. So you may already have navigated to this, but under our services, we have grant opportunities. And there's two blocks. One is because we have two grant programs open right now, statewide and urban. And these blue buttons apply now also take you to the portal. If you were to click the program guidelines, it's going to take you to the full guidelines for each of the grant programs. If you scroll down further below, we'll have all of this updated when the video does go live on YouTube. You can access it. We'll send out an e-blast as well. And you can download all of the individual files at the bottom here. The Apply Now is another way to get to the portal. We do recommend that if your organization is collaborating with multiple people on editing your answers, we provided these Microsoft Word versions, so you can download the application checklist, which has the application questions, and you can put it in a Google Doc or however you want to do it, and you can copy and paste your answers into the portal. The portal also allows you to save your drafts, and I'll say this so many times, save draft as often to avoid losing work, but you can always access it and go back in there. On the sidebar, there's available grants open, statewide grant, urban grant, and then the grant portal login here as well. And there's another top menu at our website, grants, statewide, urban, login to grant portal. So however you do it, I'll just click. So we use Smart Simple, but we refer to it as the grant portal. This is also accessible. One of their strengths is they hire a blind consultant who comes in on a monthly, if not monthly, with every upgrade to be constantly testing the system. So this vendor is also accessible if you use things like screen readers. Starting fresh, if you're a new organization and you don't have a current account with our grant portal, you would click register here. New to the system, register here. If your organization already has an organization account on the portal, and you don't have a user account, reach out to me and I will create a user account with your organization if you had staffing changes. Please do copy someone in your organization. And if you are the ED or someone high up, then that's great. But if you're a new staff member, just to have that second check that I'm not just adding anybody to the organization's profile. If you have a user account and forgot your password, there's the typical forgot password, and you'll receive an email from Smart Simple. It's like an automatic workflow email, so it looks like it's coming from Smart Simple. All right, so new to the system, register here. This is, we look up compared to the IRS database. So there's different ways to search for your organization. I'll do an example for WSMA. When we search WSMA, it's not that specific, and some other organization that is not us comes up. that's not what I want. So I'm going to refine my search a little bit better. I could search by the EIN is a pretty straightforward way. You'll notice there's these tooltips if you hover. It gives suggestions like don't use hyphens in the EIN. It's the IRS database doesn't have the hyphen after the first two digits, so no hyphens or dashes. And then this is saying perhaps refine your search to spell out, you'll have a better chance. Let's see the results. Okay, that worked. So if I wanted to see the details, there's a button there and I can actually see, is this what I'm trying to do? And I would select it. And this is, you would fill out these required fields that all of the information that you put up here is going to plug into your organization profile. And then below here is the contact. You can copy the organization's address if your personal address is the same as your organization. And this will be the information used to generate your user profile. Now, what else is there that I'm thinking? If for some reason your organization doesn't have an EIN number, like maybe you're a trade association or what have you, reach out to me and I will manually create your profile. But we have it set up for most, like 99% of our organizations are going to have an EIN number. So that's that. And if you already have an organization profile created in our system and you try to add yourself and there's an existing account with the EIN number, you're going to get a message that there's already an organization. Reach out to your system admin. So either reach out to me or reach out to someone in your organization because that means that your organization already has an account and we need to add you as a user to that organization. So that was just a demo on how, for first time, how to register and create your account. But I'm going to log in, and this is what it looks like. I already logged in under a test account because I didn't want to go through the two-factor authentication, which will probably happen when you enter your email and your password. It'll probably email you a code, 6-digit code to copy. So I did that. So we're in as a test account. So this is once you have an account, this is what the dashboard looks like. Just little tips. The logo here is the same as clicking home. So if you see me click the logo, or you could click home and it's going to take you to your dashboard. If you want to sign out where your initial is, there's the log out. These are icon shortcuts. I'm going to start with your profile. This is your user profile. If you need to change anything, update it here and click save, going back to home. And this is the organization profile. I intentionally left this field blank because I want to show you in the application what that's going to look like. We do ask that you upload your logo. This will become definitely required if you're awarded because we use the logo in our press release. But just to kind of go through, demonstrate what these upload features look like, you're going to select a file. I'll go to my desktop. Here's our logo and click open. And then click the upload button, 100%, cool. And it's kind of obvious that it got there. Okay, going back to home. Now this is where we start with, and because this is a test record, there's some extra things in here. But step one is going to be funding opportunities. There's one application and then you're going to designate, are you applying for statewide or urban? But you start with the funding opportunities to create your draft application. Once you create your draft application, and I'll demonstrate this, it's going to show up under this application section of your dashboard. It'll be in progress. You'll have a draft. When you submit, it's going to move over to number one because there's one record under submitted. If you have submitted previous applications, you're either awarded a grant or declined, you still have access to them, view only in here. Same deal with the submitted. You'll only have view only, but you can still access what you have previously submitted, depending on what stage it's in. So if it's in draft or if we request you to revise your submitted application, it's going to be in progress. Once it goes back to submitted, it moves over. What that looks like is we'll start with we want to create an application. Apply now. And the very first thing it says is click the Save Draft button to begin. Save Draft is going to populate a lot of the things to plug in. I should have stressed that the deadline is January 7th by 5 p.m. I'll say this a couple times. Don't wait till 4:58 to submit. There's validation logic throughout the application. So if you get a submission error and you have to fix questions, it's just give yourself a buffer of like 5, maybe 10 minutes. I mean, better yet, submit earlier, but waiting up to the minute is risky. If you submit before the deadline and realize you would like to make changes, you can reach out to me and I'll reopen your application. Okay, so save draft. And you can tell that the instruction box is populated and some other things came up. So step one is save draft. Now I'm going to go back home to show you where the application looks like. Don't go back to funding opportunities and create another draft record. If you do, I'll be reaching out to you to get it back down to one. It's now in this in progress. So if I were to want to, save my draft and come back to it later, I can open it up from in progress and then click open. So we're back to the draft application. These are instruction boxes. It's just reiterating that save draft and also if you wanted to use the Word doc to copy paste. And the very first question when we get to the project information is you're gonna state, are you applying for urban or statewide? There's just a few differences between the questions. As far as navigating goes, if this is just noisy and you don't want to see it, you can collapse it and it'll get it out of the screen. Another area is this hide instructions. I don't just hide instructions, but if you just want like a really clean, you only want to see the questions, it's these gray boxes throughout the application that give you a little more detail if I were to hide instructions. So now you just see question and answer. I don't suggest doing that, but it's there if you want it. Okay, application summary is if you want to download a PDF of your application at any time, a pop-up will appear with what's currently in place, and you can go from there and click the download or print and save it. When you submit, you'll get a workflow email with the PDF of your submitted application attached for your records. But this is a way you can also, same deal, even the submitted, approved, declined applications, you can always open them up and re-download a PDF. Okay, contact information. As the instruction box is stating, this is pulling from your org profile, which we just looked at, and then the contact information is from your user profile. So if any of this needs changing or updating, or it's blank, such as this legislative district, we want to go back to the org profile, enter that information, save the org profile, and then, surprise, click Save Draft on the application to refresh it. These districts are really valuable to us to help figure out what ESOs are providing, like where the services are happening on a district level. So you can say statewide, you can put the district that your home office is based in, your headquarters, but the more districts that you're willing to share, like that, if you have businesses in lots of different legislative districts, put as many districts as you are willing to provide us. It really helps us understand on that level. So yeah, I can see that there's missing information. So I'm going to go back to home, go to my org profile, scroll down to the district and put whichever ones. Okay, and save. I'm going to go back home to open up the draft application. reminding you that we're going to in progress. We're not starting a new one, and opening the draft application. So there, it's now showing. And same deal with if you needed to update your contact info, you would, instead of doing the org profile, open the user profile. So navigating the different sections of the application, there's 6 tabs: contact information, the project information is going to have the application questions, the funding requests, and so forth. You can click over on the tabs, or you can click back or next down here to jump from the different tab sections. I like the tabs because I'm not as likely to click submit. But even if I were to click submit, it's going to say, "Are you sure you want to submit?" It's not like it's just going to submit without you verifying. A little pop-up dialog box will say, "Are you sure you want to submit?" So that's for navigating throughout the different tabs. Project information. The 2 set of program guidelines are here for your reference. And after you answer statewide or urban, you'll hit save draft, and I'll show you the difference between them. But if you weren't to do that, you'll notice there's going to be questions missing. It ends on 4. But after I select statewide and hit save draft, then the extra questions that are just statewide will show. So there's more questions. The difference between the statewide and the urban, they're both $10,000 grants. You'll receive the full amount, 10,000. They both have the requirement of serving at least 35 unduplicated businesses, although the urban is 35 urban-based Washington businesses. And the statewide has this extra question, number 6. Does your project serve rural, urban, or statewide? That's not asked in the urban application because it's obviously urban. In the urban application, actually, I'll just switch to urban and show you. Save draft. Going back down. The urban only has the urban counties that you will select. And in this question, indicating what industries, the urban is for childcare, home building, construction, small scale manufacturing. Now, if I were to do statewide, there's different industries, and the statewide grant is geared for all industries. So if you serve any of these, that's great. If you don't, that's fine. You'd select, oh, sorry, you would select none of the above. So I'm going to quickly fill out, and this is what I'm talking about, like validation logic. When you submit required questions, have that star. So really need to make sure that you have some value in there, otherwise you'll not be able to submit. And the word counts for the questions that have limits, as I start typing, you'll see down below that the counts go down. If you go past the number, it will turn red and you'll get a negative number. So if you go over the word count, it's going to display. So if you're using that Word document, copying and pasting your answers in, be mindful that there's word count limits. I'm going fast just so we can uh, show this, because once again, this is more of a walkthrough on how to use the portal, not about what the questions actually mean. So if you have specific questions, reach out to Lisa and myself. Save draft. So this scope of work summary table is where you'll list your deliverables. Start by adding a row. Some of them are drop down. Number of sessions, total duration, number of businesses served. Those require like a numeral. So if you were to spell out a number, the value won't hold. It's just gonna like turn blank. So, instead of saying 2WO, I'm gonna put in a number 2. For the multi-line text, it's a very small field, especially when you're talking about description of work. So there is you can resize the cells to fit more easily by there's those three or two diagonal lines. And when I hover my cursor over it, turns into a diagonal arrow so I can expand the box. So if I hover and I can do that and just expand it out a little bit better. Save draft. It's not so clunky when you go back up to the application summary and you'll look at PDF. The when it turns in right now we're in edit mode, but when the application goes into view, I'm scrolling down to the table. The view will show like it will resize, so it's a little clunky for entering, but it won't be so visually bad when it's in view. Funding request. This is where we ask for the your budget with the Excel form. It's on our website. If you click here, you'll download it, so it's also here. And then here's the field below is where you upload the completed Excel form. Please don't upload PDF or numbers. So I'm of the one I like to and drag and hover, and you can see drop your files here. That's one way to do it. You can also click Browse Files, and then if I go to my desktop, I can select it. So there's two different ways. And it's in process uploading. You'll know when it's uploaded because it says complete, but it will also show here. So you can click this and it's going to re-download what you uploaded. I believe you can rename it as well, and you can delete if you want to put it in a different one. Economic outcomes. I'm going to intentionally, well, you need number. Every question needs the value. So if it doesn't apply, just enter a 0. And total unduplicated is at least 35. I'm going to put in on purpose something below 35 to demonstrate what happens when you submit. This navigation on the side, you can jump to the different sections, jobs and businesses, technical assistance, demographics. If you want more screen real estate, you can hide that jump and it expands a little bit. But maybe we're just going to do workshops and TA. Access to financing has another validation logic in here because we switched from, well, it's to help. Sometimes applicants will put in a number, like an amount, a money amount, like a large, like $12,000 when we're asking for how many businesses were awarded loans and grants. So let's just pretend I put in, or I'm going to put that there. So when I submit, I'll show how we're asking for a number of businesses, not a large amount of the money awarded. That's the economic impact outcomes. We do ask that the numbers that you're entering for the different um, business deliverables, the workshops, the training, the TA, that should match what you're proposing in your system of your scope of work summary table, question 11, which is technically question 10 for the urban because there's that one less question. So if you're saying you're serving this many businesses in training series, it should mirror that. I mean, I didn't for the speed of this demo, but these numbers should mirror what you're reporting. If you're thinking of having two sets of training series, like you would break them down in the scope of work summary table, but then those two would total up for the overall training series section here. We're not expecting like really big scope of work with every single type of business service, but the numbers do need to mirror each other. So the three attachments, moving over to the tab 506, it's the same, which I demoed for the budget request form or the fund request form. Same mechanism. You can drag. It's the organization budget for your current or 2026 calendar year. Put a PDF in there, drag and drop. And when outside of the uploading process, I know it worked because I see the file here. We're asking for your P&L or income statement for last year, or last fiscal year, or the most recent 12-month period. So we're looking for what you have spent and earned, like the actuals, not the projected. Oops. Then drag and drop a file. If my mouse couldn't spaz. Okay, let's do it the other way. Browse files. And then the third attachment, I mean, we'll see that this is uploading when it works. It shows here, if you were to click this, you'll download it. And then the last file is your letter, your 501c3 termination letter. So we need to have something in there as well. Drag and drop. Okay. The last tab is certifications and attestation, where you're agreeing or do not agree. But these are all required. Today's date. I'm going to save draft. And when you're ready to submit, we're going to try to submit. But because I entered in something less than 35, I couldn't submit. And because I put that large number in for the number of businesses, I mean, there's no way 12,000 businesses are going to be awarded loans. So you can either figure out what questions are talking, this submission failed message is talking, or if you hover and just click, it's going to take you directly to the issue. Same idea with if you were to exceed the word count limit of the narrative questions. So that's probably the easiest way, is just to hover and it'll take you directly to where it is. So this is why you don't want to wait till 458. So let's put in a different number, 12. And unduplicated is too small. So now I'll try to submit again. It's going to double check. Are you sure? We'll say yes. Ta-da! You'll get an email with a confirming that the submission went through from Smart Simple. And you'll see now on your dashboard that you can continue to access what you submitted here. And if I wanted to view it, but instead of it being in edit mode, it's in view mode. But you still have access to it, and you could download it as well with the application summary. If throughout the process, if we do reach out asking if there was missing information or we want like clarity on something, we might revert it to revise. So then it would appear back under in progress. And then when you're ready to submit those revisions, you would submit and it would go over here and so forth. Okay, we have a question. If we're under the fiscal sponsorship, is It's the fiscal sponsor's EIN that we should be using, correct? And the answer is yes. Is the fund request form behind the login, or can I find that on the main page? You can find that on our website. There's a couple different places to get to it, but I'm going to go to our grant opportunities. Come on. And well, it's taking a minute to load, but it's up. You can download it with the grant materials. There's a link to the Excel form right here. And if you were to go to the actual, like the each page, it's here as well with the statewide. It's also at the bottom of the statewide. Same deal with the urban. Well, the guidelines are kind of long, but you get the idea. At the bottom, here's the Excel as well. I really appreciate everyone joining to walk through the portal with us. If you have specific questions or need user accounts created, like I love working on the portal. It's one of my favorite parts of the job. So please feel comfortable. No question is like too basic. Any question is welcomed. And thanks for working with us on using the portal.